They're not ignoring you because they don't care. They're watching you, studying you, quietly testing how far they can go before you break. You think it's just bad timing or emotional unavailability. But what if I told you it's not that simple? What if every hot and cold moment, every mixed signal, every sudden withdrawal was deliberate, a pattern, a defense mechanism, a test? Avoidants don't fall in love through closeness, they fall through control. And before they ever admit they feel anything, they need to know you won't lose yourself trying to earn them. That's the game, that's the trap, and most people walk straight into it with their heart wide open, only to be left questioning their worth when the avoidant disappears. But what if I told you there's a way to turn the tables not through manipulation, but through mastery? A way to stop chasing and start choosing, to pass every single test they throw your way without even flinching. Not by changing who you are, but by owning it fully. Because in this video, I'm going to expose the 7 hidden tests avoidants use to protect themselves from real intimacy, and more importantly, how to hack every one of them with clarity, confidence, and emotional intelligence. If you've ever felt stuck, confused, or heartbroken by someone who just couldn't get close, this is the truth they never had the courage to tell you. Stay until the end, because what you hear today won't just help you navigate avoidant love. It will rewrite the way you see yourself in relationships. This isn't just about understanding them. It's about finally understanding your own power in a way you've never heard before. When you're dealing with someone who has an avoidant attachment style, you're not just falling in love, you're stepping into a psychological labyrinth. And what most people don't realize is that avoidants don't fall for you because you love them. They fall because they respect you. But before they can ever get to respect, they test, and they do it quietly, in the shadows, in ways most never notice until it's too late. They don't ask for trust, they measure it. They don't request boundaries, they push them. And they don't seek intimacy. They challenge your capacity to hold space without collapsing. The early stages of any relationship with an avoidant are less about romance and more about evaluation. They are watching to see how you respond to inconsistency, how you react to distance, how easily you give your emotional energy when they haven't earned it. It's not malicious, it's survival. To the avoidant, love feels like a risk to their autonomy, their identity, their emotional safety. So instead of running towards connection, they press pause on it. They need to know, will you lose yourself in me the moment I pull away? And if the answer is yes, that's when they detach, because now they feel trapped in a dynamic where they're the center of someone else's emotional regulation. That's terrifying to them. You see, what you interpret as rejection is often a defense mechanism. You show them affection, they flinch. You move closer, they create space, and in that gap they're asking a question without words. Can you hold yourself, worth together, even when I stop showing up for a moment? Most people fail that test. They overpursue, they chase, they panic, and in doing so, they reinforce the avoidant's deepest fear. That connection will cost them control. But if you pass, if you remain grounded, if you respect their space while still honoring your own standards, that's when the dynamic begins to shift. That's when they start to view you not as a threat to their freedom, but as a mirror reflecting their own emotional growth. You become the calm in their chaos, not the chaos that confirms their fears. And here's the most important thing to understand. You're not here to play their game. You're here to recognize it, to stop blaming yourself for their withdrawal, to stop thinking love is about doing more, fixing more, proving more. It's not. It's about being someone who doesn't lose their center when someone else loses their clarity. Because that's what they're really looking for, even if they don't know it. If they're testing you, it's not because you're unworthy. It's because they're uncertain. But your job isn't to make them feel certain. Your job is to be so anchored in your self-respect that their uncertainty becomes irrelevant to your inner peace. Hold your center. That's the first real sign of strength they've ever seen. We've been sold this idea that love is about proving yourself. That if someone pulls away, you should lean in harder. That if they're cold, you warm them up with more affection. If they're uncertain, you fight to reassure them, and it sounds noble. It sounds romantic. But with avoidance, it's the fastest way to lose yourself and lose their respect. Because avoidants don't respond to intensity. They respond to integrity, not emotional intensity, emotional stability. The biggest misconception people have when dealing with avoidance is thinking that more love equals more connection. But avoidants don't feel safe around people who make them the center of their emotional universe. In fact, when they sense that you've made them your entire emotional project, they withdraw. Not because they don't care, but because now they feel responsible for your happiness, and responsibility for them is pressure. Pressure is suffocating. Suffocation feels like a trap, and avoidants run from traps. So here's the shift. Instead of thinking, how can I prove I'm worthy of their love? The better question is, how can I protect my peace while still showing up with grace? Because what actually draws an avoidant in isn't your emotional availability, it's your emotional boundaries. They're not testing how much you love them. They're testing whether you abandon yourself in the name of love. Think about it. When they go cold, they're looking to see if you chase. When they delay commitment, they're checking if you'll tolerate ambiguity. When they drop breadcrumbs, they're watching whether you settle for crumbs or raise your standard. And in every single one of those moments, they hack isn't to do more, it's to hold more. Hold your space, hold your standard, hold your value, because the most magnetic energy in the world isn't someone who needs nothing. It's someone who doesn't collapse in the face of uncertainty. The avoidant doesn't want someone who clings. They're drawn to the person who says, I care about you deeply, but I care about myself enough to walk away if this becomes one-sided. That is the ultimate test, and the ultimate attraction. What happens next is fascinating. When you stop reacting and start responding, the entire power dynamic shifts. Suddenly, they see you differently. You're not just emotionally available. You're emotionally intelligent. And that's what earns their respect, not the grand gestures, not the endless understanding, but your ability to stand firm in who you are, even when the emotional terrain gets complicated. And that's what breaks the pattern. When you show that you don't abandon yourself for connection, the avoidant finally sees that you're not a threat to their freedom. You're a mirror, reflecting what true connection actually looks like. Calm, strong, grounded. Don't try to win someone who's confused. Be someone who's so clear in their value that the only people who remain in your life are the ones who rise to meet it. There comes a point in this dynamic, after the tests, the mixed signals, emotional push and pull, where you have to ask yourself one question that changes everything. Why am I trying so hard to prove I'm worth loving? Because when you're involved with an avoidant, it's easy to slip into the role of the one who's constantly adapting, constantly giving, constantly justifying your presence in someone's life. You start managing their moods, tiptoeing around their wounds, trying to say the right thing, do the right thing, be the safe person they'll finally open up to. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If love becomes a performance, it's no longer love. It's survival. And you were not born to survive a relationship. You were born to thrive in one. At some point, you have to realize that this is not about getting the avoidant to finally pick you. It's about you deciding who gets to be in your life based on how they show up. You're not a contestant in someone else's emotional game show. You are the selector, but when your focus is on decoding them, fixing them, impressing them, you forget that you have a choice too. You lose sight of your power, and the more you overfunction, the more they underfunction. It's a loop, and the only way out is to stop playing by their rules. See, the avoidant needs to see that you have your own standards, your own timeline, your own vision of what healthy love looks like. You're not here to beg for breadcrumbs. You're not here to wait indefinitely while they figure it out. You're here to build something mutual. And if they can't meet you halfway emotionally, mentally, relationally, you walk. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. That's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to be chosen is the moment you become powerful, because when you reclaim the right to choose, everything shifts. You stop reacting to their behavior. You start observing it. You stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" and start asking, "Is this energy aligned with the relationship I want?" And in that space, you become deeply attractive, not because you're proving anything, but because you've stepped into your own emotional maturity. You're not here to rescue the avoidant from themselves. You're not here to be their emotional caretaker. You're here to show what secure love looks like. Love with clarity, with intention, with boundaries. And when you stop chasing the potential of who they could become, you finally make space for the right kind of connection. The kind where you're not begging to be seen, but naturally respected for who you already are. So remember this, it's not about convincing anyone to love you. It's about loving yourself enough to only entertain those who are emotionally capable of loving you back. The power isn't in being chosen. The power is in choosing from a place of clarity, not desperation.